Well, hey everybody, it's Atlan. How's it going? And I'm super excited to have this next guest on the channel because I've been trying to get this guy on for a while, and he is awesome. He is I consider him a good friend of mine. We've done a lot of trips together, done a lot of hikes and camps together. So I am super excited to have him on. Please say hi to Jeremiah Stringer. Hey, Jeremiah.
What's up, man?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. We haven't actually, we talk all the time. We're in group text and stuff together, but haven't actually been able to hang out since I think we're both stuck in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I think the Oil Creek trip in January was our last time together.
I'm counting down the days, man.
That feels like forever ago, honestly.
Well, when was it? It's like February?
January? Yeah.
Man, that's a long time.
It was before all this stuff kind of went crazy.
Yeah, and here we are now.
Here we are. You've been fortunate enough to get out a little bit, I think, more than me.
I got to get out like not last weekend, but the weekend before, and did a little off trail kind of just around the lake and stuff, but not much, man. I've been, well, I'll take that back. Bridget and I, we decided we wanted to take the dogs on their first ever backpacking trip. And the Sheltowee, it runs through Kentucky, down to Tennessee from northern Kentucky. And where it crosses pretty much the road I live on, about 15 or 20 minutes from the house. So we're like, why don't we do 10 miles in 2 days? So we slept in and packed everything up and took the dogs, and I don't know, it's experience. It's different taking the dogs.
Yeah. I have yet to camp with my dogs.
It's like we put down I couldn't buy Tyvek. I mean I could, but it's very expensive. Normally you just buy a sheet off Amazon, like a small sheet. But if you go to Lowe's, even for the smallest sheet, it's like $40 or $50. I was like, those dogs aren't worth that. So I was like, I wanted to put it inside the tent, so their claws didn't rip the floor.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll just pay $1 for some painter's drop, the plastic, and stuck that in there. Worked perfect, dude. So if you ever do take the dogs, that's something I would suggest.
I don't think my dogs would be able to hack it. They bark at everything. Just here at the house, they bark at every noise. It would be amplified in the woods.
They're very heightened senses, man. They have to smell everything.
I think the last time I took dogs camping was about 10 years ago when my wife and I first got married, and we had 2 different dogs then, and we took them to Hocking Hills here in Ohio, and they had the worst night. One peed in the tent. I think one just couldn't stop barking. We ended up leaving in the middle of the night. I think we didn't even stay the whole night. I said never again.
That sucks, man. But I see you going on the hikes. So where you live, there's some I guess you'd call them day access areas. I see you putting some videos out and stuff with your kids. Seems like you need to take your kids out backpacking, man. Yeah,
we have metro parks. We have a real nice metro park system here in Dayton. So just a few miles from the house, I can go and do 5-6 miles. But yeah, the boys, they want to get out. A couple weekends ago, I was like, I'm going to go do a hike because it was really nice. And I was like, hey, you want to go with me? Just joking with my son. He's like, no, it's okay. And I'm like, I figured you didn't want to go. And then he's like, wait, Dad. He's like, I want to go with you. And I was like, really? So yeah, he's all excited, and he got dressed and put his crazy clothes on. But yeah, he loved it. But I was like, let's do 3 miles. And he's like, nah, about 1.5 miles, he was done. So, but I got him out, which was awesome.
That's great, man. Starting them young like that. I didn't discover backpacking until a couple of years ago. And if you can get kids, I was always outside and stuff, but get them kids out there with you hiking.
Yeah.
That's great bonding.
Yeah, I was surprised that he was so excited to go, because usually he doesn't want to go hiking. He doesn't seem to enjoy it and stuff, but he was all about it that day. So it was a fun time. We had a really good time.
Did you put a video out for that?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
My most recent video, yeah.
How about that M50, man? I see you doing the cinematic stuff. That looks great, dude.
That was a great time to experiment with the camera. I'm like, here, walk down the trail for me. No, wait, do it again. He's like, he was eating it up. He's like, I'm going to be on YouTube. I'm like, yeah, you can be on YouTube. I'm like, wait,
I
I'm going to
figured he'd
do
be
it.
like, Dad.
I'm like, well, he's like, he makes fun of me all the time. He's like, you don't have any subscribers. You don't have a gaming channel. He's like, if you did gaming, you'd have 1 million subscribers. I'm like, yeah, but I don't game. So I guess I'll stick with my
Dude, the kids
2000.
are all about the gaming. I've
Yeah.
been gaming a lot lately. Since we're at the house,
Yeah. Do you,
grinding, man.
do you have a gaming channel now?
No, I don't have a gaming channel. I don't know. I I feel like that should just be exclusively fun. Like if you have to work, like YouTube, I like doing YouTube, but it is a lot of work, like making videos and stuff. Even being out on the trail, there's decisions that you make that cut time short, or you want to say a certain thing or portray it a certain way, and
Yeah.
you may have to walk back and get that camera or something. But some things I just want to be pure bliss. So the video games feels like a waste of time, but I discovered yesterday I can actually concentrate and listen to like an audiobook or podcast or something and play the game at the same time and hear it through the headset.
Uh-huh.
So now I have the excuse of, even if I'm playing video games, I'm getting an education.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm working on the second book. I don't know if you're technically reading them if it's an audio book.
My wife could do that. She'll work. She can do her work and listen to audiobooks and get every plot point from a book. Like she'll recite it back to me. Here's what happened in chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm like, how do you do that? I can't do that. Like I can't concentrate on coding and listen to a book and try to focus on two. I probably can't walk and chew gum at the same time.
Well, I mean, I think it also depends on like what you're doing. Like, I mean, like writing code or like looking for mistakes or something. I
Yeah.
bet that takes a lot of like just concentration. But I mean, I listen to podcasts and stuff all the time if I'm like entering grades, because I'm a teacher and everything's online now. And so everything that you have to do, is through like Google and Google Classroom and Google Voice and blah, blah, blah. And so a lot of it is just data entry,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I don't know, it's odd times, but it also allows you to sometimes just kind of zone out. That's nice.
So let me get your perspective as a teacher, because I'm only on the other end of it, like seeing how my kids react to everything going online. Like, how are you on the other end of being a teacher? How has it affected teaching?
Well, I mean, the face-to-face interactions are obviously gone, but like I I already knew how to do YouTube when this whole thing happened, because I've been doing, the backpacking channel for a little while now. And so instead of teaching, normally I have 5 class periods. And so you teach 4 of those and you get 1 to plan your lessons, enter your grades, call kids down, tutoring, blah, blah, blah. And, now instead of teaching the same thing 4 times in one day, like teaching the same thing for an hour 4 times, now I can just record a video of it and then, make a 12-minute video. And it takes a lot less time than teaching, because nobody can ask questions unless you're like live streaming it.
True.
So, a 30-minute lesson, that it's got disadvantages too, because nobody can. I had college classes like that, right? And so the professor's saying something and you can interrupt them. But if it's a flip class, like I had one that he recorded every lesson for some reason, like 4:30 a.m. And then you would watch it, and then you come in and be like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. And then you would ask him questions during that hour class time instead of listening to a lecture. So it's kind of self-paced, but you just had to make sure your work and stuff was done. And so it's kind of the same thing with what we're doing now at my school. I don't know about the other schools, but it's a lot less time talking for me. But that was also one of my favorite parts. Like I love the social aspect, like what we're doing right now, hanging out and just talking. I love getting to know people, and math is fun for me, but most people it's not. So you got to help them have a good time too.
Yeah. I think it's been hard for my kids because I don't know, when you're a college kid, it's one thing to, you can kind of self-discipline to watch the videos and do the work. But, our kid, like, my 11-year-olds, it's like, I got to keep them on task. It's like, you've got to do this. You're not on vacation. you still have to do this work. And they don't quite grasp that. They're like, why can't I just play video games all day long? I'm like, no, just because you're out of school, you still have responsibilities that you have to do. So it's kind of hard to get them to understand that sometimes.
Yeah, they don't get, man. They're kids. Like, I mean, if I was 10 or 15, I'd be like,
Party.
I'm not doing all that. Like, this is summer vacation 3 months early. So I feel bad for the parents,
Yeah.
I called a parent today, and you hate calling parents with bad news. And so anytime like their kid's not working or like turning stuff in or behavior disruption or something in person, then you have to call them and talk to them and, find remediation. But now, since everything's online, normally I don't really give like homework assignments and stuff. I say, I'm going to give you difficult problems and you're going to have 30 minutes in class to work on it. And that way I'm there to help you. And you're also working as a group, and then you guys can help each other and figure this stuff out. It's hard on purpose. And if you'll figure it out, you'll learn. Well, now that's not happening. And so they're doing probably the same thing that we would all do is one kid's going to do it and then everybody else gets a picture of it and then they turn it in. So I've called 3 parents this week, all for the exact same reason. I gave a test, right? And I'm just giving it in good faith. A different teacher that teaches the same thing as me gave a different test, but we both teach the same class. And I had 3 kids to turn in her test to me on Google. And I was like, you don't even have her as a teacher. Like, this test shouldn't exist to you. There's no way you can even see it.
Huh.
Right? I mean, that's a completely different class. You're not a participant in there. Like, you're not populated on her roster. Like, how can you get the test? So you have to call them and tell them the kid's cheating. I mean, nobody wants to do that, and I don't want to do it, and the parent doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, man.
Yeah. It's an unprecedented time, and it's like the kids don't know how to handle it. The parents don't know how to handle it. We're all just like, what do we do? How do we get through this? And it's tough. My wife and I both working at home, and with the kids at home, it's like they still have all this schoolwork they got to get done, and I'm still expected to meet all my project demands, and she's got her work that has to get done. It's like, man, it's stressful.
It's hard.
It's stressful.
I'm really worried because if we have restaurants, so for instance, let's say that you can go into a restaurant, and whenever somebody's watching this, maybe they'll be able to, but I suppose that it'd be like every other table or something, right? Well, I would assume that it'll be the same way with schools. So I would go as far as to assume, like, as a parent, be ready for weird hours with school or something, or maybe your kid only goes to school. I was thinking like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the other go Tuesday, Thursday, and then they switch the next week, and it staggers. And that way the buses are running at half capacity and the classrooms are at half capacity. Because I don't know what your kid's school is like, but I'm at a high school, and there's like 1,500 people in that school every day, and you got 36 people in a room. That's the size of, my living room and kitchen and bedroom put together. Like, that's small.
Right.
So,
yeah,
I don't know.
And you and I are
weird,
both,
man.
You and I are both in education. So, I work for a college. So, we have the same issue. It's like, okay, there's certain courses that, have to be done in person and, or in like the lab settings. It's like, how do we bring students back so they can do these hands-on labs? It's like, do we separate them by plexiglass, or do we stagger everything? How do we do it? Like, nobody knows how the heck they're going to do this. And we have people working around the clock to try to figure out how are we going to bring people back on and not get anybody sick. It's crazy.
It's amazing. So I always think like necessity breeds ingenuity. Like, you may see somebody that lives in a third world country and they don't have shoes, so they take plastic bottles and flatten them and put strings through them and make flip-flops out of them. Mm-hmm. Like, we need things, and we're trying to figure out solutions. So it forces you to think outside the box. Who would have thought? Who would have thought everything would be online right now for me? Like, you know, for the last 5 years, I've come in contact with thousands of people every day.
Yeah.
And my wife and I. Go ahead.
I just posted it on Facebook today. I'm like, what would we have done without the internet during this time? Like, how would we have shopped or, you know, done education, or would everything literally have just stopped? I mean, we would have figured out a way to make it work, but it would have been by mail or something, I guess. But
I don't know, man.
I can't imagine without the internet, the convenience that brings. And thank God the infrastructure has held up.
Yeah, I've been reading some things about like some pieces of the federal government are trying to, you know, they're trying their best to make sure that there's no food shortages.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think, man, maybe the best time ever to be growing your own garden, because I suppose like if there was a second wave or whatever, hopefully there'd be some different situation or different solutions figured out by then already. But, you know, my friend, I was talking to him yesterday, and she was like, we're growing a garden this year. And I was like, man, that's a pretty good idea. Of course, it's pretty easy for me where I live because I'm kind of in a rural area, but somebody's in a city, even something as simple as like a raised box with some different, you know, small things in there.
Yeah.
Maybe a good idea.
Yeah. That's what we're doing. We were just going to do it for the heck of it. But now it's like, well, we might really need that stuff.
Yeah. Be canning some green beans and freezing some corn. Maybe a good time to go in halves on a cow or a pig and stick that in the deep freezer.
Seriously.
I don't know, man.
Well, look what happened with the toilet paper. Who would have thought the toilet paper situation that we would have ran into, because people hoarding and everything. And that was so odd.
So I got a theory on the toilet paper that I'm basically stealing from, I guess that was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I don't remember who it was. They're probably a comedian though, but they were saying they thought that the whole toilet paper shortage was two things. First, like there was a shortage in Australia, and I don't think theirs is produced domestically. It's probably imported.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they saw that and they started to panic buy. But also toilet paper's big. And so not very many, you know, rolls of toilet paper, like the packages fits on the whole aisle at Walmart or Kroger or Dollar General or wherever. So if people see that empty space, then they're like, oh, I need to get some too. And then they're like, well, this shelf is empty, so I probably need to get some food and stuff too before it's empty too. And then that's what kind of pushes it. But I don't know. That's what they said. And I was like, that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah. Because I noticed that with a lot of other weird things, like there were certain things that were like short on the, you know, that were missing from the shelves. It was like teas and stuff, you know, it's like, why is there a tea shortage? Why do they not have this? You know, so it's weird stuff. But that makes sense. People see it missing.
Make any sense.
Yeah. Strange.
Yeah. But here's what I'm thinking, like when it comes to hiking and backpacking, my wife and I are talking very seriously and are already starting to save to do the Camino de Santiago, the French way, next May. And there's a lot that goes into that and a lot financially. So there's two things you have to decide on. Like, you want to be cautious, and I have tenure at the school that I'm at. So, you know, unless you're just completely neglecting your job or doing something stupid, they're not going to terminate your position. You're under contract with them. So anything can happen though. Laws change, man. So I always think, like, what if the Kentucky state schools were forced to teach from home for, I don't know, 2 months on, 1 month off, 2 months, or whatever it may be. Maybe it's a whole semester. And they're like, our state government's like, why would we pay, you know, 60 teachers at a school of 1,000 kids when we could cut half of them and just double their classroom size since it's all online? We don't have to pay for the space for the kids to sit in. So then the only thing that changes is I'm just grading more papers, making more contacts. So I could see that happening, maybe not now, but like in 20 years, if this had happened and everything was already all technology based. But I think financially we got to make sure that we're also saving just anyway. But I really want to do the Camino, but Spain was hit really hard with the COVID too. So I don't know. They may not want people from the US just coming over there and being like, I'm just going to walk for 500, 600 miles.
True. Yeah. And, even trying to plan that far out, it's like, who would have thought, well, I'm planning this a year out. It'll be fine. Now it's like, will it? There's so much uncertainty
Yeah.
for such a long time. It's
Not like there's a hard deadline.
right. It's like, do I want to plan anything for the next 12 months? I mean, right now, plane tickets and stuff are so cheap. And it's like, I could fly out to Colorado for practically nothing. But will I get to go? Will it actually come through? I don't know.
Yeah, I've read stories of people being the only ones on the flight.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're literally the only passenger.
That might be really awesome.
Yeah. There's this one lady, I can't remember her name, but she was flying back. Like her mother was sick or something, and she was having to fly, I think from like Colorado to New York or Boston or something. And she was the only person on a Southwest flight or American Airlines flight, a very a big plane and a major, airline. And they were like, they said, come up here and sit with us in first class. And the stewardess or the, whoever takes care of you on the plane, the attendants and all that, they just sat there and hung out, talked to her, and they'd use her name like, hello, Teresa, we have hit 10,000 feet. So I think that'd be really cool, but I don't know.
But unfortunately, airlines aren't going to be able to sustain that model.
No, man, I learned that airlines, the only way that they're keeping how like if you'll fly and then somebody comes out, and you're sitting there and they're like, you board the plane and they're like out there duct taping a wing or like working on something. And you're like, boy, I hope we make it to the destination. The only way that they can keep making money is if they keep those planes like, they can't sit for more than an hour at an airport. That pilot turns around and flies somewhere else, and they're flying all day.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, some major bailout will probably happen with airlines because we have to have the airlines. The world's small now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's a major thing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how this plays out in the next several months, years. It's going to go on. I mean, I don't know if this is going to go on, but the ramifications are going to go on for a very long time.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. But
how do you see it affecting the outdoor community? I know there's so many people who were going to do the AT this year in long trails, and that all got scrapped, and people who started in like February and March and they had to get off. And it's just, it's like, man, do you think people are going to get back to doing any kind of trails this year?
I think this is unfortunate, but I think that there'll be some people that wanted to do it so bad that they're going to go out. People die every year in bad conditions in higher altitudes. And I don't mean like 15,000 footers. I mean, like you're at 6,000 feet and there's 2 foot of snow on the ground and you're stuck in a shelter and you literally freeze to death. I think that we need to get ready and be very cautious because I think there'll be unfortunately, a lot more deaths with people out later on in the year, especially if we are quarantined again and it's November and all the places, people are like, screw it, I'm going to go to the AT anyway. And they're like, I'm going to finish this hike and it's middle of November and they start getting snowed in and you don't have people prepared. Those people could die. People die every year in the Smokies.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm going to go out, but you can't.
Oh yeah. Smokies are no joke, man. I've been there in April and it was so cold and snowy and icy. So I can't even imagine the colder months, man. But I know you and I
also think like the cottage companies.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I was say, I know you and Adam Thompson and I, we talked about when they finally do reopen some stuff like Red River Gorge, it's like, how many people are going to get hurt? Because, how many rescues are going to happen? Because
A
everybody's going to jump
lot,
back on the
man.
trail.
Everybody wants, I mean, I want to be out there too, but I'm especially afraid for people who they like don't know what they're doing. Like I don't know what I'm doing half the time, but I at least have some experience and I try to learn, but you can just see it anywhere, especially like popular destinations like the Gorge. I was up there, I don't know, like a week or two before we officially got word to shelter in place or whatever you want to call it. There were slow restrictions rolling out and you could see it coming. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to go get in one more trip. And so I was up there and you're stopped by several people just in the middle of like you're 4 or 5 miles at least from a vehicle and you have all your backpacking gear. And then you have somebody there that literally has a cell phone on them and that's it. No water, no food. You're like, well, it's going to take you at least 2.5, 3 hours, even if you know where you're going, for you to walk back to your vehicle from here because you got scrambles and like, how did you even get here without a map? But I mean, you don't tell it to people, but that's what you're thinking. And then you're like, do you want to see a map? They're like, no, just tell me which way to go. I'm like, okay, go back this way and then make a left and follow that for 3 miles. And, so people, I don't know. Some people are irresponsible, but I have no room to talk. I mean, we've all done things that we shouldn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, but the cottage companies, I think too, I really hope that some really good businesses in the backpacking industry that are just getting their come up and they're making really good gear and they had to put food on their table. And, if people have to spend their money on food, they're not going to spend it on gear, and those companies will go out of business, or the economy is just so slow that people are like just getting back to work, or they're no longer getting as much money on unemployment and they just don't have the extra money.
Yeah, I've been worried about that too. It's like so many cottage companies that I support. It's like I worry about them so much, even though they've been able to pivot and be able to do like, making masks and PPE and stuff. That's awesome. But what's going to happen when they, like you said, when they shift back to, okay, you don't need to make that stuff anymore, get back to making gear, and then nobody's buying because of whatever reason.
It's so there's some good stories too. Like, we have a mutual buddy, Ben, with Hilltop Packs, and they've been making the mask and everything. Super good story. And another one, Chad, I talked to him from UGQ. You know him?
Mm-hmm.
So he was telling, we just randomly called him when John Kelly and I were doing our podcast, like recording it. We're like, hey, man, we got this idea. Why don't we put a pocket on the inside of a quilt, and then you can stick your water filter in there, and you don't just have to put it in a Ziploc bag and throw it in your foot box, and then it's out of the way. And I was like, put it at the foot. And John's like, no, put it on your chest. And I was like, let's just do both. And then I was like, put the water filter at your foot, and then you can maybe put your cell phone or camera batteries or something at your chest. And Chad was like, yeah, I mean, we could definitely do that. And I was asking him, how's it going with UGQ, like underground quilts? They make really good products and stuff. But he's like, Michigan's been hit really hard. That's where they're located. He's like, we've been shut down for a while. I think it had been 2 weeks or 4 weeks or something like that. Whenever we had talked to him that they've been shut down, I was like, what are you guys doing? He's like, well, actually, we may be able to pivot some and maybe turn one of our, like they were working on moving locations and stuff, like, starting over in a bigger place because their business is on the up and up. And he's like, we may be able to put a department and help make some of this PPE and get some contracts with hospitals and stuff. So if there's any gear companies that are listening to this, if you can make the gowns, I think that's what Chad was talking to the state of Michigan or the hospitals association or something like that, making gowns. If you can make some of that stuff, we're still going to need it. They're going to stockpile after this. They're going to stockpile a lot, and may be able to get a contract, make me 2 million gowns. And if you can do that, you can make some money too. Maybe help save your cottage company.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It may become a permanent arm of their business.
Exactly. Bring some new employees in.
So I was going to ask you, this thing I ask everybody on these interviews is, how did you get into hiking, camping, and backpacking? What got you into it?
My father-in-law, like the short of the story is he asked me if I wanted to go, and I started researching it and finally decided to go. I was like, how much is this going to cost me? But then I just borrowed all the gear and then went on, I think it was 4 days, 3 nights. It was Fontana Dam in the Smokies to Blingman's Dome. And I ended up hiking additionally to Newfound Gap. And I don't know, dude. It's crazy. I met a bunch of thru hikers. I'd never heard of thru hiking before, and went and hung out with them and showed them the strip in Gatlinburg, and, took them around to the different places. And, it was a blast. And I was like, how did I not know about this? I got to do this. So then I started buying my own gear. But
So you were hooked, huh?
oh man, I remember I hadn't heard of it. And since I'm a teacher, like, students are a great resource to ask things, especially stuff in pop culture or anything like that. And I was like, have any of y'all heard of this backpacking stuff? And this one kid raised his hand and he was like, yeah, I've done some backpacking. And I'd heard of backpacking, like, you see it in movies. People go backpacking in Europe and they stay at the hostels and, whatever. He was like, yeah, I've done some backpacking. Last summer, I went out for 2 weeks in Colorado. And I was like, really? Tell me about that. And he's telling me about the mountains that they climbed and how beautiful it was and all this. And I was like, well, what about the gear? Tell me about the gear. And he told me about it. And I was like, do you still have that backpack? He's like, yeah. I was like, do you think I can borrow it? I was like, I can give it back. I knew his mom. She's my vet. And we'd taken the dogs to her a couple of times. Super cool. And I was like, I could just drop it back off at the vet center and your mom could pick it up, on her way out from work and bring it back home to you. He's like, yeah, Mr. Stringer, that's fine. That's fine. I was like, all right, cool. And he brought it to school. It was it was like 90 liters plus. And it was like probably weighed 6 pounds. I think it was like a High Sierra backpack. And I started watching all kinds of videos and doing research. The other day, I found a list of everything that I took. And I was like, what in the world was I thinking? And the food, I think for that 4 days, I had like 9 pounds of food. What the heck? I was just giving it away. Through hikers, I was like, you want to eat this jar of peanut butter right now? Like, I don't need all that. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, so that's what we do when we first start out. It's like we pack our fears. We bring everything because we think we'll need it. But what's some of your favorite gear now? What have you changed out?
Man, the most recent change was that freaking water filter. I shout out to Kristen and Kevin. We did the Foothills Trail with them, and for Christmas we were up at their place, and it was like a week before Christmas, and we went and hung out with them for the weekend. And they live above Cincy, and they got us Christmas gifts. Had no idea. We were surprising them with Christmas gifts. They're like, what? And then they got us Christmas gifts. And Kristen more than Kevin, loves backpacking. And we met them at Red River Gorge randomly. And they're like, what would be a good gift for Jeremiah? Let's get him a new water filter. On the long trail, I told them stories from me doing the long trail that I thru hiked. And I kept borrowing this guy's Be-Free that I met on the trail. And I was like, man, this is amazing. But Jason, backpacking with Jason, he was like, nah, dude, don't get that thing. Like, I used it and it stopped up. And I was like, what? I used his every day along with it. It was to the point where I was like, hey, dude, I'll fill up your water if you will let me use your filter. He's like, yeah, sure, man. So I fill up his bottles and mine, and and I was like, I used this for a month, didn't have any issues. And we was doing 2 people's water every single day. Sure enough, man, they got it for me for Christmas, and I used it end of December, there was a beautiful weekend that we went to Red River Gorge. It was like 70. Then we got hit by massive thunderstorms. Used it in January. Used it whenever we went to Pennsylvania. And I used it on that last trip, you know, the one I was telling you about a minute ago, right before the stay in shelter in place or whatever. And it stopped up. I don't know if it stops up. I don't know if the fibers dry out or if they get clogged up or what. But now I'm back to the Sawyer Squeeze regular.
That's the only filter I've used, and has not failed me yet.
Okay, I think I messed mine up. I've used the Sawyer Squeeze, the Mini, and the Micro. I think I messed up the full by putting hard water through it, just like sink water, back flushing it. Because when I get home, I'm like, I need to back flush this. But I shouldn't have been putting that sink water through. I should have at least used like the filter comes out of the fridge, or like Brita or something.
Yeah,
I think that would be okay.
Yeah, I love my squeeze. Fantastic. Except I'm always worried about it's going to freeze on me somehow, you know, if I go on a cold weather trip. But
it's the only problem, dude. I'm telling you, we got to get the pockets inside the quilts.
There you go. It's a great idea.
Yeah. Chad said, yeah, we could probably do that custom, but he's like, I don't think we'd make that a feature on all the bags, because you get in a flow, you get in a rhythm, and you got a process, and you can streamline, you know. I think Ben was like, I never make like one backpack for Hilltop packs. He's like, I'll make like 4 at a time, because you already having to do all that. It takes so long. I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah. So what's your pack that you're using now?
The first ever pack that I bought was Osprey Atmos 65 liter, and I used that. I used it on the Hills Trail, and that was a little less than 80 miles, and took us 4 or 5 days. I think 5 days maybe, with a 22 miler in there or something. And I used it on the long trail, so that's like my go-to. But I'm really waiting for the weather to warm up, because winter, man, I've been loving the winter backpacking, and I went several times, and you know, we got snow and stuff, but you know, if it's cold and you're bringing a big sleeping bag or a big underquilt or whatever, you just can't fit all that stuff in. I can't take a 50-liter bag and put all my winter gear in it. It just it literally won't fit, and it's probably frameless, and so it's just too heavy.
Yeah.
So that Osprey Atmos 65 liter, that's the Cadillac, man. That's the Cadillac. That's what Jason's friends call it. They call it the Cadillac, because you put 35 pounds in that thing, man. I've been taking 2 puffies in the winter. Like, I take the Ghost Whisperer, and then I'll take my normal big puffy and layer it like that and leave the fleece at home. That kind of sucks, though, because when it's really cold, I like hiking in the fleece. You're kind of forced to either hike in your puffy, which you always get sweaty, even if it's like 10 degrees and you have a light puffy on. But in the fleece, you kind of sweat through and it evaporates. But without it, you're forced to hike in the rain jacket.
Yeah.
Rain jacket sucks hiking in.
Oh, yeah. Like wearing a trash bag.
Yeah. And I never have had one with pit zips. I need to just buy one. I just don't like spending the money, man. I like spending on video games.
Well, I know, it's like, yeah, you could buy all the separate gear for all the different seasons and swap all this stuff out, but that gets really expensive and kind of impractical. I don't know. For as much as, like, for me, as much as I go winter camping, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, but you know, I had fun at Oil Creek, though. That was a great trip, even though it was so cold, but that snow was beautiful. That was a great time.
Dude, I felt so bad. I left an extra sleeping bag that I didn't use, literally lying next to you all night. And I could have been like, man, I could have just thrown that on Lance while he's laying there sleeping whenever I got up and stoked that fire.
Well, I was fine, except every once in a while that breeze would come in over the tarp on the door, and I was like, "Holy cow!"
Yeah, if people haven't watched the videos, Oil Creek they need to go watch it. Like, y'all need to go watch them, whoever's watching this, because we all had different perspectives on the trip, and you can see they got those shelters. I don't love like reserving stuff. I like the more spontaneity and you kind of pick your spot. But having having the shelter there when it's 17 degrees and having a fire and putting up a tarp and blocking the wind, dude, that's where it's at.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
I'd like to have one of those in my backyard. That'd be awesome.
It would, yeah.
I'd be like, honey, I'm going camping tonight. She's like, where are you going? Gonna go 50 yards outside the back door.
Don't
That'd
bug me.
cool,
I'm
man.
backpacking.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did decide after that trip, though, I'm going to invest in probably UGQ, like a 0-degree quilt for sure.
Oh, dude, that's where it's at. Did I
Yeah.
tell you that's what I got?
Yeah, I think that's why I decided to do it. And I'm gonna put all the bells and whistles on it, deck it out, make it a $400 quilt. It'll be worth it.
Do it, dude. Do it. And I mean, I'm not very experienced with hammocks, but to me, compared to the other quilts, I borrowed a couple under quilts and stuff. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of bells and whistles you gonna put on there?
Baffles, overstuff, whatever I can. Overstuff the foot box, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, you going with the under quilt or the top quilt or both?
Top quilt, just
The top quilt.
yeah.
I think for kind of where we live, of course, I live in Southern Kentucky, so my weather's a little bit more mild than yours. The winter's shorter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you living up in Ohio. I think that I need a 0-degree under quilt, which I have now, and I need like a 10-degree top quilt, or maybe something that's not rated for that low of a temperature, but something along there, 15, 20 degrees. And then like a 40-degree under quilt, maybe. I'll take your advice on this because, you know, I think you know more about it than me. And maybe like a 40-degree under quilt and a 50-degree top quilt or something. What do you think? Just for the 4 pieces.
Yeah, I think that's plenty good. You're a pretty warm sleeper as it is, right?
No, man, I get cold ever
Do
since
you?
I lost weight. Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
get cold.
Yeah, see, I'm a cold sleeper. I bought a 20-degree hammock gear quilt that I'll probably use through next month, through May or June. Because even if it gets down to like 40 degrees, I'll use that 20-degree bag. But that's just me. And then I have a Costco quilt that's good to down to like 50 that I'll use in like July, August, hot months,
How much are those?
like $20.
See, does it pack down pretty small?
Oh, yeah.
See,
They're
there's
small.
no Costco where I live.
Hmm.
I guess I
get
could
them
just order
online.
it. Yeah, just order it. But I really like seeing in person. And I'm tall. And I don't know, like the length. I got as long as I could, I believe. It's like 80-something inches for the under quilt. I
Yeah,
just worry, dude.
I don't know the dimensions. I have to pull it out. But next time I see you, I'll bring it and you can check it out.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I really love the hammocking, and my shoulders don't hurt. I don't know what it is about the sleeping pad. I guess it's just like sleeping on air. It doesn't matter. Even if you make it as soft as you possibly can by letting out all the air until your hip is about to touch the ground. Because I got just a Neo X Lite, and I used that on, for a month through hiking the long trail. I slept on it every night. I don't get super great sleep in the hammock. I don't get super great sleep on the pad, but the hammock, it takes so much pressure off your body. But it still feels like a black hole, man. If I drop something in there, it's just gone forever. Like if I drop a sock, until I get up the next day and pack it up, that sock is gone.
It's true. It's like, where did it go? I know.
Sucks it up.
You're like, did it fall out? It couldn't have fallen out. Where is it?
Then you pack up the next day and you're like, oh my gosh, it was in the underquilt the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how many times that's happened to me? A lot of times. And I'm just too lazy. Like once I'm laying in that thing, like I'm not looking for crap.
I'm not either, dude. That hang time clip you gave me, I've used that every single time I've laid in the hammock.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
I love it, man. I always download something on Netflix and then watch it out there. Like watch a comedy special or something while I'm going to sleep. It's perfect.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put some eye bolts in the walls in my basement, and so I can hang a hammock year round down there.
That's genius. I try to convince my wife to let me do that in the living room. I was like, Bridget, it's not a big deal. I'll just scoot the couch over when I want to lay in the hammock and I'll hang it up. She's like, you are not screwing bolts into the wall in our living room. She's like, what about when we sell this house? It's okay. I'll just patch it up. Nobody will
just
even know.
just take them out, patch it up, right?
Yeah. Our friends, Kristen and Kevin, they have one in their living room straight across.
Has she laid in a hammock? Because once she lays in it, she's gonna be like, oh yeah.
She hasn't laid in it like I had her lay in mine and I was trying to, I'm new at it. So I'm figuring out the pitch, figuring out the tension, all the little things, how high to put the straps. And she needs to just spend the night in it, but there is zero chance. She goes with me sometimes. There's zero chance that she's sleeping somewhere besides in a tent with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish we could, like, if you could get hang on the same tree, like you got 3 trees and do like a V shape.
Yeah.
And then you could lay there and like poke your head out and talk to each other. That's what Miyagi and Trips does. Miyagi on the trail.
Mm-hmm.
He's all about the hammocks. He's the one that made my hammock. And him and his wife, they'll like share the same tree on one end, like the head end or the foot end, and then they can lay there and their hammocks are right there next to each other.
Nice.
I'm like, that would be awesome, Bridget. Why don't we do that? She's like, no, we got to lay next to each other. And I'm like, but we're in sleeping bags. We can't, like, I can't even put my arm on you. She's like, nope, in the same tent. She kind of scared of the dark, though, a little bit, though.
My wife's the same way. Like I've tried to convince her. I was like, let's do a family hang. You, me, and the kids all get our own hammocks. And she's like, no way. It's like she doesn't feel like, like it's so much safer in a tent. Like that piece of nylon is going to protect you from anything. Why not just lay in a hammock and be comfortable?
It takes some work figuring it out, though, for real.
Mm-hmm.
I probably spent 7 nights in it or something like that. 10 is easier to figure out.
Yeah. Every situation is different. Like, cause you can pitch it perfectly in your yard or whatever, but as soon as you go out on the trail, everything goes out the window. It's like you've got varying distance between trees. You've got varying elevation. You have to learn everything all over again. Like, okay, got to get those angles, and all this and that. And how much time I probably wasted trying to pitch a hammock perfectly
just to get an okay night's sleep.
Yeah. It's like, is this really worth it? It is. It's totally worth it. Because I don't sleep well in a tent, on a pad, on the ground. I wake up and I hurt, and I just, it's awful. But usually hammock, I sleep pretty well.
Dude, that first trip that I told you about, the research I'd done, I was like, I'm going to sleep in a hammock. And then the Smokies, of course, I don't know anything about Leave No Trace. I don't know anything about backpacking. I've literally never been, just like been in the woods as a kid and stuff. And I've done my research, and I'm like, I'm going to sleep in a hammock. I'm going to put a yoga mat as my pad, because it was June at the time. But still, it's 50 degrees at night in the Smokies in June. You're 5,000 to 6,000 feet. And I was like, I'll sleep on that yoga mat. And my buddy that I borrowed the hammock off of, it was just an Eno. It's probably like a 10-foot Eno. And he was like, take this $10 sleeping bag I bought at Walmart and thread the hammock through and just zip it up above you. And you won't need a bug net. You'll be good to go, man. You'll just be inside the hammock and it'll be under you too. And I was like, okay. Well, whenever I got to the hotel, we were talking, and I was like, I read online, you're really not supposed to sleep anywhere but the shelter in the Smokies. And of course, again, this is my first ever trip. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to take the hammock. It's heavy. I got these carabiners, and I got this yoga mat and the sleeping bag. Like, this is a lot of weight. The bag's already like 60 pounds. I'm just going to, so my father-in-law's cousin, and his cousin's son, their wife, his cousin's wife was staying at a hotel in Pigeon Forge while we were doing the Smokies backpacking trip. So she's staying there for 4 days, just like touristy stuff. And I was like, she's still staying at this hotel. I'll just leave this stuff here. We did like a little shakedown the night before, and I left the hammock, I left the yoga mat, and it was a terrible mistake because I slept on the wood slats in the shelter with no pad, with just that $10 sleeping bag around me for 3 nights.
Oh,
and you think you get a bad night's sleep on that X-Lite until you try sleeping just on wood. I took the backpack apart, and I took the hip belt. It had this massive padded hip belt because it's a 90-pound pack. I mean, a 90-liter pack. It's rated for a lot of weight. I took it apart, and I put the hip belt under my lower back and laid on my back on the wood slats. And I was like, I got to take some of this pressure off. This is just hurting my tailbone. It's hurt my lower back. This gracious couple, they had the full, the Z seat, but it's like the full pad that you can lay on.
Mm-hmm.
Some ultralighters lay on those. This old couple, they just brought 2 of those to sit on during the day because they were really soft. They don't weigh anything. And they're just laying beside their sleeping pads. And I was like, y'all not sleeping on those? They're like, no. I was like, do you think that you can let me sleep on one? And they're like, oh, honey, yeah. And then they're like, you take both of them, stack them, you can sleep on there. And I'm like, oh, God, you got no idea how much I love you right now. This is the best thing in the world.
I bet that was much better.
Oh, it was the best night of sleep I've ever gotten in my entire life. When you don't sleep at all and you're cold, like I had every layer. A $10 sleeping bag doesn't keep you warm below like 75 degrees.
I never even heard of a $10 sleeping bag.
Yeah, it's like the Ozark Trail one at Walmart, like the kid size. You're just like,
I was gonna say, is that like a My Little Pony one or something?
Yeah, that's basically it. So I had brought two shirts to hike in and one to sleep in or something like that. I had on like 2 pairs of shorts and a pair of hiking pants. I had 3 pairs of socks on, had a, jacket. Good times, man. Good times.
That's what makes the memories, though. You will never forget that trip.
Exactly. And you know what? If I hadn't done it that way, I may not have fallen in love with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It really makes you enjoy the luxuries now, like sleeping in that hammock.
You know what? That's actually one reason why I love backpacking so much, because when I go out there, it reminds me of how awesome it is to be in my bed and stuff. Even being in the hammock and stuff's like, I'm like, man, I can't wait to be back home with my wife and my dogs, and I'm out here. But I love being out in the woods, but it makes me appreciate things. That sounds weird, but it makes me appreciate things more.
No, I completely get it, dude. Whenever I was gone for like, I think 29 days or something like that. I could count it up. But whenever I was doing that through hike, since I'm a teacher, I'm off work during the summer. And I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. But then after about 2 weeks of not being able to even hug my wife, I was like, I got to hurry up. Like, we need to finish this trip up, and I'm only like 100 miles in or whatever it is. I'm like, I still got a couple 100 miles to go. We got to speed up. Yeah. But yeah, dude, it makes you want to makes you want to see your family, makes you want to enjoy, a good cup of coffee, not the instant. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know. But, oh, wait, you don't even do the instant on trail, do you? Because I see you. I remember we was out there, and I think you did pour over, didn't you?
Yeah, I've done both. Sometimes I'll do Starbucks, but I do have a GSI pour over thing I use. Yeah.
Wasn't that whenever we did the Damascus? We went to Trail Days and went Damascus to Grayson Highlands, and I'm pretty sure I saw you doing the pour over on that trip.
I did. Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun trip. I forgot about that one. Yeah.
That was really fun, dude. But I still always tell people when they ask about you, I say, dude, he's an awesome guy. I love him to death. Just don't ride with him. That's what I tell them. I say he can do that little. He zips around. He's got his car. Yeah, we can blame getting lost in the car on Jason or Greg.
Yeah, we can blame any of them. They can't defend themselves.
They're funny guys too. Jason sent me beard stuff. I think he's starting a beard company.
Oh, really?
I think he's just like, he's kind of just getting his feet wet, right now, and figuring some stuff out and making his own different products. He sent me a picture, and he's got so many vials that he never used because he grows the beard too.
Mm-hmm.
But great stuff, dude. All you Ohio guys, man, y'all are always fun. I hang out with you guys, the Shields, Bryce, the whole Ohio crew. We got to go to the meetup. That was really
Yeah.
fun too.
Yeah, I was bummed I didn't get to stay for that whole weekend, but I
Hey, still
I
got
live.
out there though.
Yeah, that's always fun. We gotta, man. I hope we get to do something like that again this year. We'll see.
We were supposed to have a Kentucky meetup the week before Easter, I think it was. It's like April 3rd, maybe. That sounds right. And I was about to make the official announcement, and then they were talking about closing schools down. I was like, well, I don't think that I can announce this now. And in hindsight, even if I had have announced it, that would have been April. Nobody would have came, and I would have had to cancel it anyway because
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been safe.
yeah. It's a shame, man.
That's all right, man. Hopefully I still got a long time to live. We still got plenty of time to make memories, man.
Oh yeah, you're a spring chicken.
Oh, you're a young guy too, man. Look at you.
No,
Yes. Yeah, man. Look at you. Just getting started, man. Got your house. I love the house you all built.
thank you.
How
Thank you.
stressful is that? They say it's like one of the worst things you can do is being married and building a house. I haven't done it.
It was not easy. I don't think I want to do it again.
I don't blame you, man. It's
It,
not easy. It's not worth it, man.
it was right. It was tough. It was last summer was tough because we sold our old house immediately, and it was like, okay, now we got to wait 8 months to have this house built, and what are we gonna do? And so I stayed here in Dayton and stayed with a friend for the entire summer, and she stayed with her sister 3 hours away on the other side of Ohio, her and the kids. So I would travel to there, over there every weekend to see them.
It's
But
crazy hard, man.
yeah, it was challenging. And then, it's like, she would always be like, well, go by the house and make sure they're doing stuff right. And I'm like, I don't know anything about building houses. What am I going to say? Oh, those trusses don't look right. I don't know what to tell. I'm not going to tell them what to do. But
Maybe she just want to see progress.
I guess, I'd go by every single weeknight and send her a picture and be like, look, okay, look, they did a little bit more.
That's a hard thing, man. Construction, did they finish on time?
They did because we forced them to. And they tried to push it out, and we were like, it was like 2 days before the kids were supposed to start school for the fall. And we're like, we have to move into this house now. They're
Yeah.
like, we need another 2 weeks. And we're like, no, you have to get us into this house. So they made it happen. Oh man, we were sweating bullets because we were like, if we don't get in this house, we were staying in a hotel here for a couple nights for while they finished it up, and we're like, okay, things are going good. And they're like, can we push it out? Like, no, you cannot.
We're staying in a hotel.
Yeah, it was staying in some flea bag hotel. It sucked.
Man, that gets expensive,
Mm-hmm.
especially staying in a hotel.
Yeah, and it was one right down the street from here, but it was all the hotels were full because of the tornadoes that we had. People were staying in hotels waiting for their homes to be rebuilt because of all the tornado damage.
Yeah.
So it was hard to find
Insurance.
a room.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
dude.
We talked to this lady, this older lady, and she's like, yeah, I lost my entire house and all I have is my dogs. And I'm just living in this hotel. And we're like, oh gosh, that's awful. Felt so bad.
Yeah. I don't think it'd be so bad if like I was in college and single, but having a family and stuff, or especially if you had a quality of life already established, that'd be tough. I know I wasn't supposed to do this, but I was getting gas at Walmart. Like I wasn't actually in Walmart. I was literally like at the Murphy USA outside getting gas. And there's this guy, he's an overweight guy, older. He's probably like 60, 62. And he drove his little cart up, and it was raining. I was like, what's this guy doing? Drove his little cart up, and Murphy's pretty far from the entrance of Walmart. You know, it's at the end of the parking lot. And he was like shivering. I was I was pumping gas, right? And literally whenever he pulled up, I was actually going to go to Walmart after I got done pumping gas. And I was putting like a 9mm pistol on my side, like putting my belt through the holster and, you know, cinching the belt up as he pulled up. He looks at the gun and then he looks at me. And I mean, I just don't like going to Walmart without a gun, man, to be honest. And people could think whatever they want, but that's just me. So he's like, man, I'm freezing to death out here. And I live at the hotel. And the hotel was like half a mile from the Walmart, 3/4 of a mile. He's like, I live over there and I'm cold. And I was like, I'm looking for a ride. Somebody dropped me off from the hotel. I don't know them and I can't get anybody to come pick me up. He's like, can you drop me off? I dropped him off, man. Noah wasn't supposed to because the whole COVID thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I feel for this guy shivering. And on the way over there, he was like, yeah, he's telling me his, what I would call sob story. I don't know. I'm generally like, a lot of times people are in bad situations because of circumstance, but sometimes it's just because you made bad decisions. And this guy's drawn Social Security and, he's telling me a story and he's telling me it cost him $854 a month to live in that hotel. And I was like, man, $854, that's basically a house payment,
Yeah.
for a middle-class home.
Right.
And he's like, my Social Security check is $912 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, must be hard to get food. And he's like, yeah. I was like, that made me realize, man, if I had to live in a hotel, like I could literally buy a house for the price of living in this. It was like Budget Inn or Motel 6. I was like, man, that's really expensive.
Wow.
Imagine if you had to stay there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was another reason. It's like I can't afford to stay here much longer. We gotta get our house built. Yeah,
it'd be tough, man. But we bought this house. We lived in. We were high school sweethearts, my wife and I. And then finally bought this house. But I really wish we had a basement, dude. I love that YouTube studio you got set up down there. You doing some green screen stuff?
Yeah. I still. Well, that's why I'm filming up here. I still haven't got it the way I like it yet. So. Trying to work it out. I want to get something like the Shills. I want to have a studio set up like that with a nice professional looking background.
Dude, there's so many things that you can do since you have that space down there.
Yeah.
That's one of the main reasons I'm so happy that, y'all built this house is think about the endless possibilities that you have for shooting videos and doing your setup, your background. Like this is a very small room I'm in. My background is just like memorabilia and maps and stuff from trips I go on and that kind of thing. But dude, if I had a full basement, I'd be like putting up sound blankets and like this room has sound blankets all around it, but I'd be like putting them real close to me and screwing the lighting into the ceiling and putting it on switches. What are you thinking about doing, man, besides the background?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's like I've got the lighting, like she got me like the whole kit. Like so the 3-point lighting, it's got the backgrounds and everything. And I don't know, I'd like to do the soundproofing and stuff, but it's if you saw the space, it's like a big, huge open basement. So it's like one end is like the like our entertainment center, TV and all that. And then the other end is my studio. So it's, I've got a little part of the room back there. So I can't make the whole thing my space, but I would love to. I tried to do that with my gear. Like I was like, I wanted to we have like an extra closet, like a walk-in that I was like, that's going to be my gear room. That's my gear room. And she's like, nope, you're not putting your gear in there. I'm like, why not? Because we like have a closet that we share because it's that big. We don't need all this space. We'll use this closet. And she won't let me put my gear. She's like, because you're going to bring spiders in and it's going to smell like campfire and you're not putting your stuff up. She maybe put it in the basement.
At least you got a space to put it, though.
Yeah. I can't complain because if you saw what I had before, man, it was pathetic.
I think a lot of people put their stuff in the garage, and
Yeah.
I thought that was a great idea. And somebody commented on one of my videos, and they were like talking about how some of their gear was affected with the temperature changes and the humidity changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like gear's kind of like instruments, right? It's, you know, it's what you're using for your craft. And if you have a bunch of guitars or violins or whatever, you know, and you keep them in your basement, you got to control the humidity there. You got to control the temperature. You know, that wood's expanding. It's putting tension on the strings. It's lessening the life and making them less valuable. And gear's the same way. And I was like, man, I never would have even thought keeping it in the garage. I was like, the garage, I would park outside in the driveway and let my truck suffer so that I'd have a big empty space for the gear. I think it'd be so cool. I think that's kind of what Devin does.
Yeah.
Backcountry exposure.
I had all my stuff in the garage for several years at the old house, and it would get like 110 degrees in there in the summer. It would get like below zero in the winter. So I know my gear was subjected to crazy temperatures. And that was before I really had nice gear, you know, before I really started buying the nice stuff. But yeah, even the nice stuff got subjected to terrible conditions for a while. It is what it is. I had no other place. That house was so small, there was no place to put stuff.
Dude, Miyagi, where he does all the sewing and all that, and makes a lot of his own gear. His is so organized. He's got containers for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that inspired me to get containers for a bunch of my stuff. Do you ever organize your stuff like that? You got like shelves, or you just throw it in bins, or what? The shelving?
I've got shelves. Basically everything now is it's like a maintenance room in the basement. It's shared with the furnace. It's probably not a good idea to have it in there, but it's back in a little nook, and it's got like, I've got these steel shelves, and then everything's kind of arranged in bins. So all my quilts are loose in a bin. All my backpacks are stacked in a bin. But I would love to be able to hang everything, hang all my quilts, hang all my packs. And then all the clothing is up here in our bedroom. I have a whole side of my closet dedicated to clothes. So it's like all my jackets, shirts, shorts, hiking shoes, and all that stuff's up here.
Do you ever find that inconvenient? Because my clothes, even my hiking clothes, is with my regular clothes, but they're kind of in like separate drawers, hanging up separately. But I always feel like I'm going to forget something.
Yeah. But I'm the kind of person I end up packing for a trip like a week and a half before, because I get so excited. Like I literally start getting everything together, and I'm like taking pictures of all my gear. I'm such a dork. But
Oh, that's okay, man. That's just the way you do things.
I still forget stuff all the time.
I whenever I first started, I'd like make a list. I still will like pack my stuff up, and then there's a list of the normal things I take hanging beside where I keep all my backpacking gear besides the clothes. And I'll pack everything up, and then I'll run through the list. And then I'll be like, oh my gosh, I forgot to put, you know, a pair of socks to sleep in. And then I'm like, I got to unpack all of this junk and stick the socks in the wet bag. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I really need to, I guess, just buy stuff that I dedicated to only backpacking clothes. Like, but I still wear my puffy and stuff around town.
Yeah, me too.
But we have pretty mild winters, but where I get cold,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, this is perfect. People make fun of me at school. Like I'll be at work and I'll have on that Ghost Whisperer. And I guess to somebody who's never worn a Ghost Whisperer, it looks really warm, but it's not really that warm. You know, it's probably warm by itself, 45 degrees maybe,
Yeah.
if you run kind of warm. So it's really like a light jacket. And they'll see that and they'll be like, oh, Mr. Stringer, you're pretty cold, aren't you? Cold right now? Like, why do you wear that jacket all the time? Like, why are you hating? They hate us because they ain't us, man.
Just to look cool. That's why.
That's right. That's right. I like the bright orange. That's what I got. Bright orange because it was on sale. It's exactly the same color as my hair.
Oh, nice.
You look like an alien or something. You got the puffy jacket. I want to get some of the Patagucci stuff, man. I see you got the Patagucci hat.
Yeah, it's only because I had a gift card.
That's it, dude. It's so expensive.
Yeah, I don't voluntarily go out and normally buy that kind of stuff, but So, I usually get like a gift card or something to like Dick's Sporting Goods or something. And it's like, what am I going to buy there? I'm like, oh, they sell Patagonia. Okay, I'll get a Patagonia something. Which is what
Is that the only piece you have?
I have like a fleece pullover, like a half, like a quarter zip,
Yeah.
but it's pretty big on me, so I don't wear it very often. It's like usually I wear like a size large. Like this shirt's a size large. My closest thing I have to UK blue for you.
Go Cats.
Yeah. So usually I wear like a large, but like Mountain Hardwear stuff, like the fleeces I have for Mountain Hardwear, large is perfect, like perfect size. And I bought this online, this large Patagonia, and the sleeves are like, they go over my fingertips. Like, I'm like, what the heck?
I got a solution for you, dude.
Learn how to sew?
Nope. Next time we hang out, bring it and bring a price.
Okay.
And I'll try it on. If I like it, I'll buy it off of you. Because I got like orangutan arms, man. I'm 6'3", and my wingspan is like taller than my height. So my sleeves are always too short.
Oh.
And I wear a large.
Huh.
And
well, I have a North Face thermo ball jacket you may be very interested in then.
Is that a puffy?
Yeah, puffy.
Yeah. My bigger puffy is North Face as well. They're heavy. Like my other one is heavy, but I feel like it almost has to be kind of heavy to be that warm.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. Bring it too, dude. I might take that off your hands too. You never know.
Cool.
The large. See, we both wear large, but our body proportions are completely different.
Yeah.
So confusing, man.
That weird. And everything's made like overseas, so it's all varying. So even like the same brand, like fit you perfectly, but then you buy the same exact size and a different item, and it's like, what in the world? This does not fit me at all.
Sometimes I'll buy a large, or I was working out all the time, and I get like medium shirts. They fit real tight, and you got the sleeves, they're tied around your arm, and you look more muscular. And you're like, I'm a big buff guy. Then I turn into hiker trash and I stop caring. But, I'd buy like a large and I'd try it on. I'd be like, I don't know who the model was for this size large. They definitely did not have a body like mine. But I've been keeping my eye on a Patagonia fleece. I've been looking at those like waffle, like the waffle style. I don't know if those would be any more warm though, but I only have one piece of Patagonia gear, and it's a fleece lined wool hat. And that thing is awesome.
Yeah. I have one of those coveted Melanzana hoodies. The it's like the waffle fleece. That thing actually fits me pretty well.
You like it?
Yeah, it's actually, they're worth the hype. It's really warm and nice. I really like it a lot.
I don't think I've seen those.
Yeah, you can only get them in Leadville, Colorado. That's why, or on eBay for 5 times what they're worth. But if you go out in the shop in Colorado, they're $75 at the store, but they're like almost impossible to get, because I just happened to be there on a weekday and they had just made another run of them, and they hadn't had them on their, like, you can't order them online. You have to go in their store, and it's like, really? They just, yeah. And so people will buy these things in bulk, and then they'll go on eBay and sell them for $200, $300, what ridiculously inflated prices, which I would never pay. They're not worth that.
That person's smart though. That's what I should do, man.
And now they limit it. So you go in the store, there's a sign. It's like no more than 2 per person or something. You can't buy like multiple and buy their whole inventory up. So
I wonder how often. I wonder if I lived there, I wonder how often I could go to that store and buy one.
It's just varying schedules. Like if you go on their site, they have little stoplights, and it's like red, yellow, and green. It's like yellow means we might have some sizes. Red, we have nothing in stock, or green, we're good to go. So, I was just fortunate. The one day I was there, they were getting ready to close, and they're like, "Hey, we just did another run," and because I was going to try to buy a medium, and it was way too tight. And I was like, I don't care. It's a Melly. And I'm going to put it on. I'm buying it. I don't care. And my friends were like, dude, that's too tight on you. I'm like, I don't care. I'm buying it. And then like, so then I went back and got a large because they just put some out in the racks. So I got a large, and I was like, oh yeah, this was a good idea. This is much better.
So tell me about this. Is this like a clothing company that makes backpacking gear, like a Cottage company, and they're wanting to keep it mom and pop, and they just have brick and mortar store?
Yeah, they have one brick and mortar store in Colorado, and everything's made right there in their store. They purchased the fabric from Tennessee, actually, and then it goes all the way out to Colorado, and they make these. They make hoodies. They make pullovers. They make like dresses. Like they'll make like an entire dress for a woman, like a one-piece dress, and they make. I have a beanie front that they make too, but it's become like a statement, I guess. Like a lot of thru hikers buy these, and it's because they're so coveted. It's so hard to come by that. Ooh, you have a Melanzana hoodie, and it's really okay. It's cool that it's made in the U.S. and everything, but you could probably go to Old Navy and get something that would do the same thing, right? For $15.
Something comparable.
Yeah. So, but I'll pay $75 for something made in the USA, and it's cool. It's a cool statement, but yeah.
Well, a lot of times you get people that like start their business, like Ben. He loves backpacking, so he started his business because he loves backpacking. He's like, I can make gear. I'll sell some and make some money and help other people. And then Z-Packs, I assume the same thing. UGQ, same thing. That's how all these Cottage companies start. So anything that you can do to support them, anything within reason, of course.
Yeah.
If that was like $400, there's zero chance I'd buy it. But Yeah,
I love supporting the Cottage vendors. That's why I really hope they all come out on the other end of this COVID situation. I hope they all come out okay, because three-quarters of my gear now is Cottage made. I just have a few things that you can't really get made in the US, like my Toke's pot, and I still do have an Osprey pack. I still love Osprey packs. I love them.
heavy but comfortable.
Yeah. So I brought that on the Pennsylvania trip, the Oil Creek trip. But
You can almost take anything for a mile-long trip.
yeah. So
the
like
sleds.
I'll be comfortable, man.
That was awesome bringing the sleds. What food did you bring?
I brought that spaghetti. I made that.
Yes, the baked spaghetti that you made in the fire.
Yeah.
I've never seen in my entire life spaghetti cooked like in the sauce. Like you take the actual noodle or pasta or whatever and put it in there and let it cook that way. I've only seen it like boiled beforehand.
Yeah, my brother-in-law did that because he's Italian, and when we were in Colorado several years ago, he did that. Put it in a Dutch oven over the fire, and we had hiked 26 miles that day, so I guess anything would have been great. But no, it was awesome, and I was like, I'm gonna do that.
Did he carry that, or did y'all hike around to a campsite?
No, we car camped for that one. We were at Rocky Mountain National Park, but we ended up doing a day hike out there that turned into a 26-mile day.
Not on purpose?
Not on purpose, no.
That's 26 miles. That's rare to be on purpose.
That's the longest I've ever hiked. No, second longest I've ever hiked, yeah. It's a long day.
What's the first longest?
I did, I think, 28, 29 miles here in Ohio.
Man, that's too many miles for me, dude. I thought I was going to die. Anything like on the foothills trail, my wife had to like get picked up on the last day. We're supposed to spend another day or two out there. We'd even cached food. Wow. And I was like, I'm going to go ahead and finish this trip. And we had done like 14 miles, 15 miles, 16 miles, and then 14 miles. And I was like, well, if we don't camp, today's going to be like 22 miles or whatever. It's not too bad after you've done after you've been doing 10 to 20 miles every day for a month, doing 26 miles isn't out of the question. But man, it gets hard to walk the next day.
Yeah.
Be like, I need a day to recover.
Yeah. And I think the only reason we were able to do that is because we weren't carrying heavy packs. We were just had little day packs on. And that was a real bad snow year. And we were there in Memorial Day weekend in May, and it was 6-8 foot drifts of snow. And I was post holing, falling through the snow, and the altitude got me, and that was crazy. But you know, you got in Colorado, and you're like, I want to see everything. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop hiking. That's how I am.
So I'm dying to get to Colorado. And, you know, if some people may have heard me talk about this before, but statistically speaking, Colorado is like one of the most active states in the U.S. and low rates of obesity and heart disease. And that social influence, I don't really want to call it pressure, but being surrounded by other healthy people that like to be active like you do, and they share a lot of those same hobbies. I haven't really bicycled, or I don't really run marathons or stuff like that, but just being outdoors, you know, I could see myself getting into that other stuff, climbing and all that. It's my wife and I, since we don't have children, you know, we own this house, but if we sold it, there's really nothing tying you down, and I can get a job anywhere in the U.S. with my career. I was like, man, Colorado might be a great place to live. Now, I could be wrong. I could go there and be like, no, this is definitely not for me. This is not what I thought it was going to be. But I don't know if it'll still happen, but hopefully this summer I'll be able to get out there and see what it's like. And if I do get to go out this summer, if everything goes as planned, maybe right now I should start training a little bit, because if I hike a 10,000 footer, 14,000 footer or something, then that's not easy.
No. I'll tell you what though, man, Boulder was awesome. I fell in love with Boulder, Colorado.
Tell me about it.
Oh man, just gorgeous town. Like you said, the whole lifestyle, everybody hikes, runs, bikes. Like I'd never seen so many people just everywhere, people out active doing stuff. It was crazy to me.
A lot of breweries.
A lot of breweries. Oh yeah.
I know you're a brewery guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pretty much heaven out there.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying.
I told my wife, I was like, can we just move out here? At the time I was just like, let's just sell everything and move to Boulder, Colorado. And she's like, no.
She gave you the no-go on that.
Oh, it was immediate no.
See, I don't know. I think that my wife and I have conflicting views of life. Like, I think that she pictures the perfect life as a romantic comedy. I don't know. Not trying to be sexist or anything. Just think that's the way she sees it. And then I see it as like, man, we really need to learn some different languages and go live all over the world. Like, we lived in Ecuador for a month and done an internship. I was like, this is amazing, this different culture. And if we go to do the Camino next year, if we can, knowing Spanish and being in Spain, that would be very, very nice, especially being able to practice our Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you may be like, I think I want to live in Spain for a couple of years. Or, you know what, Australia, I think we'll check that out for a little while. Or Japan, or literally anywhere. Colorado. I don't know about some going up north very much. I don't know. I'm not much on the snow. Growing up in Kentucky, I don't know. They say there's not really bad weather, just bad gear. So I don't know.
I don't like being cold either. I've lived in Ohio my whole life, so I still hate being cold.
She says Florida. Do you ever think about living in Florida?
At one time, yeah. I came very close to moving to Florida. Yeah.
It's pretty hot down south, man.
Yeah, it's very hot.
Humid. We vacation there.
Huge bugs.
But the Florida Trail, I'd kind of consider. It seems a little swampy though.
It's on my list. It's on my list. I don't know. I'd have to see. I don't know if I saw a snake or a gator, if I'd just be like, I'm done, I'm out. See ya.
We interviewed Plug It In Benny.
Uh-huh.
He's the, I don't want to misquote it. He holds the record for hiking. I think it's the 800-mile club in the Smokies. Maybe it's 900. I don't want to say it wrong, so forgive me. But
Oh, I think it is the 900 or 800,
yeah,
900, something like that.
it's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
A lot of miles. He's hiked a lot of miles, and I talked to him about living in Florida and even just doing like the Florida Trail. And I'm pretty sure that he was the one telling me, you don't really have to worry about the gators on the Florida Trail. Like it's not that big of a deal. Or maybe it was Darwin. I can't remember. Somebody told me, was telling me about the Florida Trail and saying, because I don't want to be around gators. Like, did you see that meme? I don't know if that was in the group text, but like like we don't have to worry about bears in Florida, but then there's a tent and then there's like 8 gators around it.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
see that? So I don't want that situation either. I'm sure that would never happen, but
I don't know, man. There's all kinds of crap down there. They got like, what are they, like pythons and stuff? And I don't know.
that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I could see you wrestling an alligator though. That
I
would be
can't.
pretty cool.
No way.
We could tape its mouth shut though.
Okay.
You wrestle it.
Yeah, I'd be all right.
I still wouldn't do it, dude. I still wouldn't. But that's a long trail, man.
Mm-hmm.
The FT is what is it like? I don't know. I think it'd take you a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's all mainly flat, but it's long, hot,
Let's do it in
swampy.
the winter.
Yeah.
Right. Their hiking season's like flipped of ours, right?
Yeah, I think so. You want to go like in the colder months, so what would be colder up here? Yeah.
You know, they're like, it's January. It's time to do the Florida Trail. You're like, what?
Yeah. But man, we did a little day hike. We were down there on a vacation with the family a few years back, and we went to it was called Blue Spring State Park, and I did a video on it, but it was awesome. Like it was like hiking through the jungle. It was so sweet, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I would like to do this kind of like the Florida Trail, but
Was it hot?
It was no, it was October, so it was nice.
Oh, you picked the right time, dude.
It was a great time to be there.
Did it have like the boardwalks and the hand railing and stuff?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of that, like pictures and.
Yeah, and you hike around this Blue Spring, and there's like this lake, and like people would like go and dive down, and there's like caves under there that they would dive down under to, and like manatees supposedly come through there, and it was totally different from up here. Like you couldn't get any more different than Ohio. So
It's like a different world, man.
Yeah. Because I had family who lived down there, and they're like, you need to go check this out. I'm like, okay. And it was so cool.
What part of Florida does your family live in?
Well, they used to live in Deltona, which is eastern, northeast of Orlando area.
Gotcha.
And they ended up selling that place, and now they live in Tennessee.
Tennessee.
They live in the mountains.
It's beautiful there too, though.
Mm-hmm.
I love Tennessee.
And they have an Airbnb that they had this giant barn on their land, and they turned it into an Airbnb, and it's on a pond, and you can go rent this thing out, and you can go hike. Like the AT goes right through, like right by where they live. And so they're like, come down. I'm like, yeah, when this thing is over, I want to go down there this year and stay.
Dude, if you want to make that a guy's trip, let me know.
All right. I'll let you know. Yeah.
That sounds sick.
Yeah.
What we were planning on doing, we're so fortunate, man, to get so much vacation time because my wife is also a teacher. So our schedules are like kind of aligned, overlapping. And for spring break, we had planned on just getting in the car and having my mom to dog sit the dogs. And we just drive east till we hit the coast. No destination. And then once we got to the coast, we would go north or south. No destination. And you got Friday afternoon when you get off work until Monday morning when you have to go back in. That's a pretty big window, especially if you got a car and you're only on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, there has to be a ton of super awesome Airbnbs that, you know, you could be like, oh, I'm in Charleston, South Carolina today. I bet there's a cool Airbnb here. Let's just search on the app. Do. Oh, wow. We're going to stay in a castle tonight. This is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So I love doing spontaneous stuff like that, man.
Yeah. If you get the chance, go to Savannah, Georgia. That's a cool town.
I hear good things.
Yeah.
I would love, Georgia has a ton of good hiking too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ever seen Senior Hiker 77?
Mm-mm.
He's got a really funny channel, dude. He started backpacking when he's like 71, and he's like 75 now or something, 76. Wow. Super funny. He's from Charleston, but he lives in Georgia. I talked to him about coming down there backpacking. It hasn't worked out yet, but Georgia, gorgeous. I mean, that's where the AT starts.
Yeah. Yep. Sweet. Well, man, we've been going for a while, so we should probably wrap it up here.
Well, I appreciate it, dude. I've had a lot of fun.
Thanks, man. This has been awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Anytime. Let's do it again. And you need to come on our podcast sometime too.
Absolutely.
We're working on doing like a live stream type deal. I mean, we don't have to do it live, but we can stream the video and stuff for the podcast. So if you want to come sometime and hang out with JK and I virtually.
Heck yeah.
You know, right now with the COVID stuff. But
yeah, just let me know when.
Sure thing, dude.
All right, buddy. Well, it's been good. And yeah, I'll probably talk to you like tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, man. See ya.
See ya.